Welcome to People in Profit. I'm Kate Moody. Coming up, paid parental leave has become a new hot-button issue in the United States, but why is America so far behind other rich countries? The French touch on Spanish rails. Our correspondents in Madrid look at the impact of a French train operator changing tracks. And we head to Venice, where the time-honored tradition of glass blowing is facing a new crisis because of soaring energy prices. Paid parental leave is a protected leave of absence from a job, usually for new parents following the birth of a child. The United States is the only developed economy without any national policy on paid maternity or parental leave. This data from the World Policy Center at UCLA show in dark green countries that offer at least 52 weeks of paid parental leave. That includes Canada, Germany, and Sweden. France and the UK are among those with at least 26 weeks. That's here in light green. The U.S., in red, guarantees none. American lawmakers have recently made efforts to pass mandates on parental and family leave, but the legislation is likely to be blocked by partisan bickering. Well, for more, let's speak to Richard Petz, professor of sociology at Ball State University in Indiana. Thanks for joining us today. Now, American federal law offers most new parents 6 weeks of unpaid leave, but the question of paid time off is largely left to the discretion of employers. Why doesn't the United States have a national policy on paid parental leave?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the U.S. Has largely, in regard to family supports, left it up to families. So, there's no national childcare, there's no national paid leave, and so families are largely left up to themselves or up to businesses. Only about 23% of Americans have access to paid family leave, and it is disproportionately concentrated amongst more advantaged individuals, so individuals in more high income positions and professional positions.
Surveys show that more and more Americans do support paid maternity leave. In other countries, it's not even a matter of debate. Why is this such a political landmine in the U.S.?
Americans are hesitant at times to pay for things that may not benefit themselves, but may benefit other people. The irony in this regard is that just about everyone needs paid leave at some point in their life. Most people have children. If you don't have children, chances are you'll get sick, or a family member will get sick, and you will need that time off. And so it's this sort of strange, purely American phenomenon that something that is widely embraced by Americans and is common practice throughout the world is such a debate in the United States.
In the U.S., is there a stigma or perhaps even concrete professional repercussions for people who do take time off to look after their children?
There certainly is a stigma surrounding leave taking. In the U.S. in particular, there's a large emphasis on work and working hard, and even overworking to sort of demonstrate, that you're a committed employee. Workers who request leave or who take leave, are seen as less committed to their jobs. They're seen as sort of not abiding by the sort of ideal worker kind of perspective that most organizations have. And so this leads to not only stigmas, but to direct penalties that workers who take leave are found to get, lower performance evaluations, be passed over for promotions. We know that this is a primary reason why women get paid less than men on average as well. So there are certainly penalties associated with leave taking in the U.S., and I think that's due, at least in part, to lack of widespread universal access for workers.
What country do you think best addresses these issues, and how do other governments cover the cost of guaranteeing paid parental leave?
The Nordic countries have been sort of the gold standard for paid leave policies throughout the world, and the Nordic countries vary slightly in sort of how they organize paid leave, but sort of best practices are when access is widespread, when leave is well paid, and well paid being defined as sort of 70% or more of wages while on leave. And when there's a specific period of leave reserved for fathers, sort of a daddy quota or take it or leave it, kind of colloquial terms. And this ensures that it's not just mothers bearing the brunt of the leave taking, but that leave is sort of widespread among both men and women within a population. Countries vary in how they fund paid leave. So, I mean, the policy within the U.S. That's being proposed is being funded by sort of increases in taxes for high income earners and businesses primarily. But in other countries, there's payroll kinds of taxes as well. So individuals contribute into insurance programs that help to fund the national paid leave program as well. So it varies widely throughout the world.
What do we know about how having access to paid parental leave impacts a family?
It has immense benefits, right? I mean, this is a huge transition that families experience, and mothers go through, a whole lot of physical and psychological trauma that requires recovery as well. And so we know that this paid time off is immensely helpful, that the mother's health, the child's health is improved when families have paid leave. We know that fathers are more involved. We know that parental relationships are stronger and more stable. And so there's just a whole host of benefits. It's really sort of a can't miss policy, which I think is why most countries throughout the world have it in place.
And beyond that personal impact, can you give us an idea of the economic benefits for both employers, for economies, for workers of having a national system like this?
There's a whole host of studies that show that having access to paid leave increases employer commitment, increases employer productivity, their loyalty, their satisfaction with their jobs, right? And so if we think about, employers want to retain good workers and they want those workers to be committed and productive, paid leave is shown to impact those factors. So it's good for business. And paid leave ensures that workers can maintain their employment and still attend to family needs. And so there's evidence that paid family leave contributes to broader national economic outcomes, GDP, these kinds of things. There's a positive impact, primarily because these workers sort of have their jobs to go back to, and they're not sort of left scrambling without employment when they take time off for having a child.
All right, Professor Richard Petz, thank you so much for joining us on People and Profit today. Next, rail systems around the world are seeing more competition from private or foreign operators. In Spain, the French state-owned train company SNCF has begun running its low-cost Ouigo services between Madrid and Barcelona. The goal is to lower prices and increase investment in high-speed lines. This report from Sarah Morris and our team in Madrid.
At Atocha station, the Ouigo high-speed train is now a common sight. The Madrid-Barcelona service started in May and is already popular due to its budget prices.
Hemos cogido este tren por el precio, 29, si no llegaba a 30 euros.
Renfe sobre unos 70 euros más o menos, un viaje, y con Ouigo estamos hablando de 20-30 euros.
Since Ouigo began, there are 20% more passengers on the Madrid-Barcelona route. To be able to use the Spanish rail network, the French operator had to invest 650 million euros and pays daily fees.
Nosotros pagamos cánones que nos sirven para mantener la infraestructura existente, para mantener las estaciones, mantener todos los servicios que hay detrás y todo lo que requiere, digamos, el operar.
The new operator has helped the Spanish infrastructure manager cut losses by 35% in the first half. Some argue the liberalisation of the market is helping this public company make rail more profitable.
Tenemos unos 3.500 kilómetros de red de alta velocidad, que es el segundo país en número de kilómetros de alta velocidad después de China.
The operator is planning fresh investments.
Estamos con grandes obras de mejora de las infraestructuras de las estaciones, tanto de Puerta de Atocha como de Madrid-Chamartín, y además otros puntos de la red en las que se está construyendo más líneas de alta velocidad.
Next year, Trenitalia's Ilsa will also run Madrid to Barcelona trains. The Spanish incumbent Renfe has reacted to the competition by starting up a budget service. Unions fear a price war will cost service and jobs.
The islands of Murano, near Venice, have for centuries been home to the traditional craft of glass blowing. More than 150 artisans still practice there. They use methane to keep their ovens burning. But the soaring cost of natural gas has thrust many into a cold spell, as Arnaud Gunquier explains.
Since the 13th century, Italy's glassblowers have survived plagues, pandemics, and competition from cheaper products made in Asia. But artisans in Murano fear surging energy prices could ultimately be their downfall. The dozens of methane-powered furnaces on the Venetian island must burn for 24 hours a day to prevent the costly crucible needed to run them from breaking. But the price of methane has increased fivefold since October, a spike many companies are struggling to keep up with.
The problem is that we already have orders in. Products have been purchased 2 months in advance, so we can't increase prices for those items. Therefore, for the next 2 months, we have to work at a loss. We will try to turn off some furnaces, find alternatives, but there is no doubt we will be working at a loss for the coming months.
While Simone Cenedese's monthly bills were typically no higher than €13,000 a month, he projects that'll increase to as much as $60,000 as demand for natural gas rises amid uncertain supply and low European stockpiles. And because methane is the only gas glassblowers are permitted to use by law, artisans worry the entire industry could be in danger.
Some businesses have already announced that unfortunately they will be forced to shut their doors, certainly for a limited amount of time. But the risk is that some may have to shut down indefinitely, especially those smaller businesses that have a harder time.
Though the Italian government has approved a package to offset an increase in energy bills for Italian families, it hasn't yet come up with a solution for Murano's glassblowers. Artisans warn the potential losses threaten a priceless tradition of artistic excellence dating back more than 1,000 years.
Well, that's all for now, but you'll find our previous shows on the France 24 website and as a podcast wherever you usually listen. Plus, we're on social media if you'd like to get in touch with any comments or questions. Until next time, thanks for watching.
With all the main European news, debates between representatives of the best and worst performing EU member states, and exclusive interviews with major personalities.
Talking Europe, presented by Catherine Nicholson on France 24 and France24.com.